The start of the year is usually a slower time for games, but 2026 is already proving otherwise. There are a lot of great games that have come out so far that can fill up the nominee list for the 2026 Game Awards. Today, we're taking a look to see which ones have a shot at a nomination, including for the coveted Game of the Year category. This is the Game Awards Nominee Watch. Starting off with the games that have a strong chance of a nomination, we have Mewgenics, the tactical roguelike game about cat reproduction from the developers of The Binding of Isaac. As the highest rated indie game of the year so far, and with incredible launch numbers on Steam, it is a surefire lock for that Best Independent Game nomination, along with a good chance at a Best Sim Strategy Game nomination as well. The other independent game to watch out for is Cairn, the rock climbing simulation game from the Game Bakers. Wrapping up their trilogy of games about freedom, Cairn is their most well-received game to date, and with high reviews coming from the biggest review outlets like GameSpot and IGN, Cairn has a chance of getting that nomination for Best Independent Game, along with the potential of a Games for Impact nomination as well. Swinging into the Best Sports Racing category, we have Mario Tennis Fever, the latest in the Mario Sports series from Camelot. Mario Tennis Fever dives more into its party side compared to its predecessor and previous nominee Mario Tennis Aces, and with reviews being higher than Aces as well, expect to see the Sports Racing nomination along with a potential Family Game nomination as well. Soaring in as a Best RPG contender, we have Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection, the latest in the Monster Hunter Stories spin-off series from Capcom. With this being the highest rated entry in the Monster Hunter Stories series and the highest rated RPG of the year so far, this may be the best chance for the spin-off series to get its first Game Award RPG nomination. For the Best Action Game category, Nioh 3, the latest in Team Ninja's Samurai action series, slices in as a strong contender. With it being the highest rated action game of the year so far, and with both Nioh and Nioh 2 getting nominations in the past, expect that guaranteed Best Action Game nomination and potential first win for the series. Marathon, Bungie's new extraction shooter, has a good shot at a Best Multiplayer nomination. Despite the hesitance around live service games after Highguard, Marathon has managed to sustain a consistent player base since launch. With solid reviews all around helping as well, don't be surprised to see Marathon get that Best Multiplayer nomination. And for the Best Adaptation category, we have the second season of the Fallout TV series. Fallout's second season delivered just like its first season, and as a previous winner of this category in 2024, expect Fallout to be back here again as a guaranteed nominee. Moving on to the games that have a chance at a nomination with a few strings attached, we're starting with Slay the Spire 2, the follow-up to the original roguelike card game from Megacrit. Slay the Spire 2 has taken the gaming realm by storm, having greater launch numbers than other indie games like Hades 2 and Mewgenics. But with the game still in early access, Slay the Spire 2 might not receive a nomination until its official full release. The other independent game to watch here is Nioh, Memories in Orbit, the Metroidvania game from the French studio Decisive. With a solid review score, being released across all major platforms and having been reviewed by many media outlets, Nioh Memories in Orbit has a chance to break through the tough competition of the indie category to snag that first nomination for Decisive. Warping back to the end of 2025, we have Kirby Air Riders, the long-awaited sequel to Kirby Air Ride on the GameCube. Having released just a day before last year's cutoff period, it came out too late to be properly considered for 2025's sports racing category. Though games from the back end of previous years typically miss nominations the following year, mainstay sports racing nominee F1 is taking the year off in favor of a DLC, giving Kirby Air Riders a chance to snag that open nominee spot. Another game from the end of 2025 worth mentioning is Octopath Traveler 0, the latest in Square Enix's Octopath Traveler series and a prequel to the first game. This RPG series has had an interesting history at the Game Awards, with the first game getting multiple nominations and the second game getting none. But with few major RPG releases expected for the rest of 2026 beyond Fable and Trails in the Sky's second chapter, Octopath Traveler can defy the December curse to sneak in and take an RPG nomination. 2XKO, Riot's League of Legends tag team fighting game, is in an interesting spot. While it had its full release earlier this year, it It was nominated last year during its open beta phase as well. Though this year looks to be a stronger year for fighting games between Invincible Versus, Marvel Tokon, and Avatar Legends, it's possible for 2XKO to sneak in again with its full release just as Multiverses did in 2022 and 2024. Another game to shout out is Crimson Desert, the medieval fantasy game from the developers of Black Desert Online. Though critical reception has been polarizing, the visual fidelity of the game has been consistently praised, so we may see Crimson Desert push through and secure a Best Art Direction nomination. And depending on if a certain game in November releases on time or not, it may have a chance to get a Best Action Adventure nomination as well. Lastly, back in the Best Adaptation category, we have Iron Lung, the sci-fi horror film based on the 2022 game by David Zemansky and directed by YouTuber Markiplier. Iron Lung will have stiff competition with the rest of the year's adaptations between the Super Mario Galaxy movie, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat 2, and Resident Evil. But with the cult following it has gathered and its solid critical reception, Iron Lung has a chance at being the first independent film or TV production to be nominated for Best Adaptation. Finally, the Game of the Year contenders. Resident Evil Requiem, the latest entry in Capcom's signature horror franchise, is the first Game of the Year contender of 2026. Resident Evil is no stranger to the Game of the Year category, with 3 previous nominations between Resident Evil 2 Remake, Village, and 4 Remake, and Requiem is no different. With its high critical reception across over 100 critic outlet reviews, Resident Evil Requiem is all but guaranteed to be a Game of the Year nominee. Beyond just the Game of the Year nomination, expect to see Resident Evil Requiem in many of the other categories, with Best Action Adventure and Best Audio Design being guaranteed as a horror game, and other potential categories such as Game Direction and Art Direction. Also expect to see a nomination in Best Performance for Angela Santalbano as Grace Ashcroft, which is her first performance in a video game. Our second and final Game of the Year contender is Pokemon Pokopia, the life sim cozy Pokemon spin-off developed by Game Freak and Omega Force. Pokemon Pokopia's highly positive reception has been unexpected given Pokemon's critical reputation in recent times. But with an 89 on Metacritic, it is the second highest rated Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive, the highest rated Pokemon game of all time, and it edges out Resident Evil Requiem to be the current highest rated game of the year so far. With many years having a Nintendo game in the GOTY nomination lineup, and Nintendo's mainstay juggernauts being absent from its current 2026 lineup, Pokemon Pokopia has a good chance of taking that coveted Nintendo slot to grant Pokemon its first ever Game of the Year nomination. Beyond the GOTY nomination, expect Pokemon Pokopia to take a Best Family Game nomination as well, with a high chance of winning the category to give Pokemon its first Game Award since 2016's Pokemon Go. And that's all for this nominee watch. I'll be back next time to cover the games that came out in the second quarter, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy the content, consider leaving a like as well, and if I missed a potential nomination, leave a comment and let me know. I'll see you next time on the Game Awards Nominee Watch.